All right, hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beard Brigade. I'm John Solo, you are not. And we are flying by the seat of our pants today. It is fantastic. So we got a great guest, first off, and I'm thankful we got this guest today because he'll actually work with me if shit fucks up. Look, Kevin Earlywine's in the background. He's going to come on in a minute. Today, this entire week, in fact, we are working on royalty stuff. We have some Tantor stuff coming up this weekend, but we've got a Bubba short story and also, Norden, which I've been trying to get to for 3 weeks now. We finally get to that this week when Tracy is off, because Tracy, of course, is at her mom's this week, and Norden is like one of her favorite stories. So, whichever, is it Norden? Is that the one we're doing? Whichever Nora Phoenix in that series that we're doing. I forget which brother we're up to, but we're doing it. So, we got all that going on. I doubt that I'm going to be in the booth today because I fucked up everything in the booth this morning. I broke it. It's kind of complicated what I got going on. I got a couple computers. You know what? Let's talk to this. Let's talk to our guest about this. Hey, you're here. So, by the way,
I'm here.
I dig your carpet in the background, man. That brings everything in the room together. It's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
So here's the deal. I normally record on a Surface Pro. It's a Microsoft tablet-style computer. What do you record on?
Yeah, I have my Mac over to the side, and then I have a tablet, and I just read off the tablet, and then I tinker. But here's the thing, it's never the same for too long. I feel like I'm always messing with my setup. I'm always tinkering. Tinkering is the best word for it. Like, just stop tinkering and narrate the damn book. Just sit down and
Uh, I have a hard time with that, so I completely understand. I get what you're saying, but it's more so because there'll be some problem that pops up, some little issue that I can't take dealing with, and so I have to fix it, and then that leads to another one, and then it's 5 hours later, and I've redone. So now, you see, here's ultimately what's going to happen is I'm not going to record on this Microsoft Surface Pro. That's been the plan for quite a little while. It's cool. It's awesome. But the problem is, one, it generates a lot of heat. There's no fan on it,
Yep.
which is beautiful, but god damn it, it's hot. And the second thing is it complicates the setup because suddenly you have an RME total mix, your audio interface down here with a little mixing board for it. Then you got the audio interface upstairs, a little mixing board for that. Then virtual wires going all over the place. And pretty soon, if you change one thing, everything breaks because it's so complex and it's a nightmare. I've
It
drawn
just
this
gives
out
me
in one night.
stress thinking about it, John. It gives me stress because I know that that's my future.
I don't think it has to be. See, that's the thing. I think I overcomplicated it from the beginning. I think is really what happened. I should be recording on and doing all my video work on one PC. It's just that fucking simple. Just one computer and then maybe a tablet to read off of. Makes perfect sense. But no, I had to have two. So I fucked it all up. But yeah, anyways, man, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I heard you're coming to GRL. Tell me every little thing about what's happening in your life.
Well, everything is I'm finally back to work full time. I was having vocal issues in December. I was feeling a lot of tightness, and I had done a lot of books consecutively, but it ended up being acid reflux. And so so this is fun. I went to what's it called? The person that checks the ENT. So I went to the ENT, and I'd never done the scope down the throat. And I'm not like a squeamish person or any like. She was like, "Are you going to be comfortable with this going down your throat?" And I'm like, "I think I'll be okay."
I practiced on the way here, ma'am.
It's all good. So like she did the scope down the throat and everything was fine, and um you know got on some medication and everything was good for that. And then at the end of the year, my mom broke her hip. And so she was at a basketball game. She wasn't playing, but she fell on some black ice, and that was the next month and a half was helping mom get to physical therapy. And the danger of working from home is that your schedule is kind of, it becomes dictated by those around you. For me, and so I had to help mom. And um, then unfortunately her brother passed away, and we had to go to Texas. And so it's just been a crazy couple months. And then a couple weeks ago, I was gearing up to get back to work. And I used to work for a children's theater company,
Mm-hmm.
And in 2014 to 2015, I did a show with them that was written by NASA called Space School Musical.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did the show almost 10 years ago. And my former employer called and said, "Hey, do you want to go back on the road?" And I thought, "What show is it?" And she goes, "Space School Musical." And I'm like, "Oh boy." So in this show, I play three different characters. I play the sun, a meteorite called Meteorite Hodges, which is a meteorite that fell into a woman's house and hit her while she was napping. And then I play a teacher.
Of
So,
course it is. By the way, I just needed to. We all knew
yeah,
that. I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So this great, unfortunately they had to let an actor go and they asked if I wanted to come on and I said, "Yeah, not I haven't done children's theater in about 5 years," and it was crazy. So I'm in my hotel room, learn cuz you don't just learn your part, you learn the entire show cuz you're on stage with 50 other kids. And you're guiding the scenes, and so it was nuts. So I
How
was in
old? How old
chamber
are? How old are these children? I'm sorry to interrupt, Kevin. How old are these children?
anywhere from K to 12, K kindergarten through 12th grade.
You have
So
my
all of the scenes are
you have my utmost respect, much more so than knowing that you could, deep throat the ENT scope. You get a lot of respect just based on the fact that you're going to put up with all those children for a long period of time. I would kill them. There's no doubt in my mind I would not do that. So kudos to you. I'm not sure what drugs you take, but I'll have two. Please go ahead.
so I didn't know if I could do it because I haven't done it and it's a physically demanding show. I had to rap like the majority of the show I'm rapping. I will not be dropping a rap album anytime soon. So sorry. And
Obviously when I looked at you, I thought rap. Yeah, makes sense.
yep. So, but the one thing that I learned is how crazy muscle memory is, because I would be off stage prompting the show, and like a kid would forget their line, and just out of nowhere, this line from the depths of 10 years ago, and I would just say it. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? So it went really well. I did a week in Chamberlain, South Dakota, and then we went down to Gregory, South Dakota, and it was really cool. I it was totally unexpected. But now I'm back narrating, and I'm really pumped to be back in the studio working.
Well, how when you do these road gigs like this, how many shows do you typically do in a week? Is it just the weekend setup, or are you doing a whole week shows, or what?
So it's a whole arts education experience for the kids. So you have 20 hours of rehearsal, and
Hmm.
it's through the Black Hills Playhouse, and Dakota Players is the name of the company. Um, and you have 20 hours of rehearsal. You cast up to 55 kids, and then it's fast and furious. You put on a full one act musical in 20 hours. And in this case, we had like really crazy weather. I mean, I've done the show in 3 days of rehearsal. It's just crazy. So
Well, it's
yeah,
it reminds me of my gig days where, and not just as a musician, more so. I think as an audio engineer, going out as a musician, I didn't do the road. I didn't travel. I traveled and still do out of state, but not like 3 weeks going cross country. I haven't done that. But the challenge of an audio engineer when you have a bunch of bands on a bill coming in, one band is bad enough, but let's say you have three, four, five acts that are going to be playing that night, it gets to be you get the writer in advance. You kind of know what you got. None of the musicians actually tell the truth, so that's a whole lot of fun. And
yeah,
then all the back line starts to come in. This one's drunk. This one's got their girlfriend. One person is saying, "Mr. DJ, could you play?" It can be a lot of, and that's night after night after night. I lose my patience quickly these days. I think I'm getting old. I'm not sure. I was admiring the being able to put up with kids. I used to. I ran the Music Fun Camp. It was a day camp for children between the ages of typically 5 and 12, somewhere in there. And I'd have
okay,
20 or 30 of them together at one time. And it was supposed to be first exposure or close to it exposure to learning how to play an instrument or at least be more musical. And we would teach them a basic C major scale on a couple different instruments. We would sing a bunch of
yeah.
songs. We would laugh, have fun. That lasted about a year or two till I realized I don't like other people's children at all. So good job. Uh,
Well, the key is what I learned through this job is to use storytelling as an advantage to keep them engaged. It's
Mhm.
really a tool to keep people engaged. So if you do that again, John, just start telling stories. Don't
Yeah,
don't tell any
if
MM.
if I do that again, there's a couple of things that have happened. One, my career is, I think it's best described as don't flush. That's my career down there, because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. If I'm working with kids, something's going drastically wrong. Come save me. Consider this my help sign. Help. Anyways, congratulations, by the way, on the GRL thing. We got a lot of people excited about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'd reached out to me like, is this certainly appropriate? You're going to be great at it. I think you're going to be freaking awesome. So, is this your first convention as a narrator, as doing this kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. I did a lot of festivals when I toured as a musician with really large numbers of people, but this is the first time where, I've had readers reach out and say how excited they are, and other authors, and looking at the list, it's like, whoa, I have a whole bunch of people that I have worked with that I haven't met in person. So that's going to be super, super exciting, just to and to just chat about their work. Nobody really appreciates it like, like we do as narrators. We experience their work really intimately, and
Hmm.
that's what I'm looking forward to, is just chatting with authors and meeting the readers. And I'm excited. I'm still kind of shocked about it. So
Well, you get to share a new experience for a lot of us because we're doing this whole. We've done the audiobook narrator panel before, but we've never done anything like this where we're having the entire Wednesday eaten up with narrator activities. So you're going to help us launch this thing. It's going to be a ton of fun.
yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it should be
Oh,
cool.
we
And
should do a song or something, John. We should do a little gig or something. I'm
what
ready.
I was talking to Greg and Reese, and we were kind of bullshitting around different ideas of things we could do, kind of as panels basically before the big reading at the end of Wednesday. One of my ideas, and I like this a lot, and I still think we should do it, perhaps down at the bar. I don't know, is narrator karaoke, and we can bring some fans in too,
Ooh,
and friends, and we should all go freaking karaoke in one night. I think it'd be hilarious,
yeah,
and like every narrator is a professional singer to begin with, so it'll
yeah,
be a lot of fun. And we'll only do Disney songs and Meatloaf. That's it.
right. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
What Disney song would I do? I'm gonna do "Out There" from Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's mine. I'm gonna do. You should do like Scar song from Lion King. That would be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna go way more old school than that. I'm going like back to like Robin Hood, that sort of shit. That's
Robin
I,
Hood, Little
I
John,
exactly,
oh,
exactly. As far I go like my most recent one is like Little Mermaid. Beyond that, I don't know if I can know any of them. So, yeah.
we would love to see you do the Little Mermaid, John.
Well,
We
we can
want to be
do
part of that world.
we can do the now you kissed her, the
Kiss the
rah,
girl.
rah. Yeah, exactly. Buddy Hackett's in the background. I even do the seagull parts. It's freaking wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, so we got that going on. And you should bring your freaking acoustic. Alyssa Gremlin
I
has been
will.
bugging me for weeks now to bring my acoustic. She's already talking about this. Are you bringing your acoustic guitar to GR? It's in fucking October. I really don't. I don't plan that. Probably. Maybe. I don't. But yeah, you should bring yours, and we can have a jam night. We can get together in somebody's hotel room and piss off the entire hotel staff. It'll be wonderful.
Sounds great.
I kind of suspected this before, Kevy, but you're easy. That's cool. What are you working on now, anyways?
So I'm working on a book by Amanda Mavison, which is called Gardening with a Ghost. And I play a character who, when he touches something, if something is dead and he touches it, he can bring it back to life. And this is interesting because I've never done a three, I've never done a three-way. I've never done a
Heyo.
three, like a three narrator book. So it's me. Amanda is reading all of the female characters, and
Gotcha.
then we're working with a narrator named Curtis Michael Holland, and he's fabulous. So he does all of he plays the ghost and plays all the other minor male parts. And so it's been a lot of fun. I'm the one that's been designated to put it all together, um, which is fun. It's a time.
Have you
So
ever edited a project like that?
I've done dual narrations, but I've not done
Mhm.
duet narration. So it's been a learning experience for sure. But they do great, and I can't wait for everybody to listen to it. It's pretty fun.
I bet it has been a learning experience. A duet narration is a bitch to put together. I've done two of them now, editing, and I just double my price. Whatever I'm charging at that point is double it. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and I wish there was an easier way to make it go smoother. But I feel like for me, I'm kind of narrating the whole book and then just putting their bits over my bits because
Hmm.
I don't know how else to do it.
The smoothest way I did it was when we were able to be in the same room. That was way easier, infinitely easier.
Yeah,
And when we were not, I tried several different Reaper hacks. That was my concept. I'm going to write code basically in Reaper to make this more efficient. And it's still the problem is when you're matching sound of one narrator to another, their booth to another narrator's booth. It's incredibly
yeah,
difficult. And it just unless you can bring the noise floor on both of them down to the point where it's nearly non-existent, and when they come in, you can't hear anything. Shh, come in. If you can't make that
yeah.
happen, it's just going to sound bad. So you end up kind of over processing an isotope RX to make that happen. That's how I dealt with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that makes sense
That's
what I'm
that's
saying.
exactly it. I don't know how else to do it other than use RX as the best tool to make it a consistent sound, or I don't even like to use the word consistent. A sound that will be pleasant. You know,
Hmm.
it's a bitch, but it's a lot of
Um,
fun. I think it's gonna be cool. It reminds me of those old like 1940s radio dramas, and this being a mystery, it really kind of it just plays into the whole shtick of the book. So I'm super excited about it.
that's awesome. When you were recording the parts, is it like
Yeah.
every duel I do is like this? I will chat with the other narrator beforehand, but I never get to actually work together with them in Discord or anything like that. Are you working live with them, or are you just doing this off all on your own?
No. So I've had to kind of go back in some parts and change my delivery in reacting. So like for example, Curtis plays like a 9-year-old boy at one part of the book, and he's talking to Peter, the main character, about being gay, and my how I read it was so accusatory, so I had to go back and like change it. So I'm talking to a 9-year-old, so kind of tone it down, Kevin. So I found that I'm kind of modifying what I'm doing to match to bring out the most what their acting choice has been. So
That makes
yeah,
sense, and it's cool that you have the ability to do that. That's part of what killed me when I was putting together, like all the dual narrations I've done too. It kind of like I never know how I won't listen to them. I will not go and listen to them because I haven't edited them together. So all the ones we do through Tantor and everybody
sure.
else, I have no idea. It's I take one chapter, they take one chapter, but I still have no idea how they handled certain situations. I'll reach out and ask, but I haven't really heard their
Sure.
performance. So we're just going kind of by the seat of their pants, you know. Um,
Well, and I much prefer like books where, you have a narrator who just does one chapter and then you do a full chapter.
mhm.
So my boyfriend Cole and I, we narrated a series called The Love Bank Romance by Ducky Mack.
Mhm.
And the second book we did, which was called Bow Next Door, Cole and I got to just be in this, we lived together, so we can just narrate together, which was
Mhm.
great. But Ducky said that Cole's character kind of has like a Keanu Reeves quality. We're like, great, that'll be great. Keanu Reeves, that's a cool voice. Great. So Cole does a perfect Keanu Reeves voice. And then came my time, because I didn't think that I had to do a Keanu Reeves voice, but I did. So we have learned that Kevin is not good at Keanu Reeves. But to have Cole there like, how would you say that's invaluable?
the I've run into these situations sometimes with a dual narration where I'm not very good at accents. That's not really my thing. I can do some of them. I can obviously do most of the American accents. I can half. You've heard me, man. It is what it
Yeah.
is. I am who I am. It's not my forte. I do a lot of voices though. That's one of the things I feel particularly good about, and not over the top impressions, but you know who's talking most of the time. So
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh,
you
for
work with
sure.
and you'll work with a narrator in a dual narration. where they have the exact opposite skill set or something to that effect, where coming into any given situation, when doing a character voice, they will think from the mindset of accent as opposed to tonal quality, and come at it in a
Yeah.
completely different light. It depends on who gets to trade the voices first, basically, as far as who's taking the lead in the book. But I've been in situations where I'm like, fuck, I can't do that. Can't.
And
Writing back.
it's definitely something that I've been criticized over and like and I don't want to say I disagree with a listener, because there are things you can learn from constructive criticism, but I feel like it always has to be from a place of emotion, and if it doesn't have that, it's hard to just plaster an accent over it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's
Um,
hard.
it, we, I know exactly what you're talking about. And the fact is, one of the biggest progressions I made in my personal narration was because of Greg. Greg told me one day just that voices are great and all that fun stuff, but the fact is, everybody knows it's you, John. Listeners know
Yeah.
it's you. I know it's you. You know it's you. So don't try so goddamn hard to do that and make some ridiculous voices and back yourself into a corner. Everybody's going to sound like you. Just kind of do a variation of you. It was great advice,
Yeah.
and it allowed me to have a complete vocal range, which with every character, which then allowed me to have a complete emotional range with each character. I didn't back myself into a corner with a sound. I
Yeah.
spent a lot of years acting the voice, not acting the emotion, though. But I came to this as an engineer, not as an actor, whereas you're obviously an
Sure.
actor, and a damn good one from what I hear, too. I'm
Oh.
looking at the comments over here, and you seem to have a lot of fans as well. So, anyways,
Oh, hello, fans.
you got your little fans in there. I'd rather get the emotion right than do an accent. The project sounds great, Kevin Early. Yeah, people love you. Now, the other side of the coin with the sound quality is a lot of
Yeah.
times I end up getting sucked into that alone. I have to consciously remind myself sometimes in a scene, be in the moment. Be in the moment. Be in the moment. React.
Yeah.
I'm much more natural at that now, but before, what I was thinking the entire time was that a popped P? Was that a clicked K? Was that all those
Sure.
technical aspects in the background?
I've had to really. I struggle with musician brain and producer
Mm-hmm.
brain and narrating, and sometimes I just have to turn my headphones off because
Mm-hmm.
I can't listen to my voice. You know what I mean? Like, I've just had to shut it off sometimes because I can't get through the emotional part of a scene. And sometimes I'll even think about, like, when I'm doing script markup, um, is dramatic structure. Where are we in this book? Are we in, that affects tempo and all that stuff. And
Absolutely. It, it really does. Funny enough, the sex scenes taught me so much about tempo of the entire
yeah,
story arc. But a sex scene is just well, all scenes are, but the sex scenes we get to do kind of the same. We get to do the same emotional arc a lot. this
yeah,
this condensed
yeah,
emotional arc. Let's call it. I think they have a word for it. It's called an orgasm. We get to do this orgasm over and over and over again, and we get to act through it. Now, sometimes they're angry, and sometimes they're sexy, but you know what I mean. You got to ride this arc
yeah,
coming up and down. That so taught me, and really performing in Discord and watching the reaction of the fans and friends and everybody else, and especially some of the people that are really close to me in there. I really trust their opinion, and they told me you can look over and they're really into it, or they couldn't care less. So I just kept on doing the
well,
things that they were into.
and sometimes you think about, like, where are these characters at in their lives? If it's, I do a lot of young adult books just because my voice has a higher quality, and that really kind of will change how I will narrate a sex scene. I've been asked that, like, what do you think about when you, and then you get asked, what are you thinking about during a sex scene? Sometimes you're thinking about sex, but most of the time you're thinking about, man, I need to go shopping for that? I'm out of coffee. Man, I wish they would stop mowing the lawn out there. Like, that's what I think about. So, but I usually think about, like, where these characters are for their age, and that will dictate if how intense it is, or you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. The musicality of the actual voice itself. I ride that a lot. I got bored with sex scenes a few years ago. Then I started performing in Discord, and I started watching what they were doing. And then I created this game that I would play during the sex scenes in my mind. And I'm
Oh,
not gonna spoil it for everyone, but it involves kind of counting things along the way, see what kind of score this scene got, and it worked really well. And
yeah.
it got me through until at this point. Even that the game's kind of boring, but now I've gotten entranced with the musicality of the voice in these scenes themselves. Because we're both musicians, oftentimes it's a pitch thing for me now. For instance, I just missed that note. I'm trying to hit pitch. It's a pitch, and
It's a
my
pitch
voice
thing.
my voice just went away. But I'm really kind of playing the notes is what I'm doing at this point. You play a lot of younger adults. See, I
Hmm.
don't. I do occasionally, but I have the older daddy characters, and they always get to go really low and do a growl,
The gr-
that
I
sort of
just
thing.
finished listening. I just finished listening to Song of a Weston, and the
Yeah.
last sex in that book, it just cracks me up because I didn't see it. I didn't see it coming, and then it's this intense three-way, and like you did this like growl, and I was like, whoa, I need to amp it up. I need
That
to.
I didn't do any of that shit at all. Nothing. If you listen to some of my like I don't know 2015, 16, really where I started working a lot, and I was already full time, but
Yeah.
now I'm just busting out. If you listen to back then, I didn't do any of that. But then I started performing in Discord, and I was like, how can I amp it up? Obviously, a lot of these people like the sex scenes, and the growly thing was one of them. But also watching guys that have been ahead of me, like Sean Crisden. Have you ever listened to him?
No.
Oh, you need to go treat yourself. Okay, if you want to hear.
Ooh.
Now we're talking about musicality of voice here, and Sean is also a
Yeah.
musician and a really good one. Um, and the way he plays it, Kale's another great example. I haven't listened to Kale as much as Sean though. Those guys though, when Sean gets into a sex scene, he just has this voice right there that he gets into. He sounds like that. He's got this, and you just have to, or go watch you get the same thing. Go watch a Talk to the Beard where he was on the show a couple times. He just has the voice. But anyways, yeah, that changed. So now I'm playing notes instead of playing a game. And that's kind of how I'm keeping myself occupied with them. But that tiny little
Yeah.
story arc every time that we get to do over and over and over and over and over again, turns out there's so many variations of how to do it. If you're getting bored, I just go back to the drawing board and kind of reinvent it and go from there. How many books are you on now?
I I I find that like when I get to narrate a sex scene that excuse me, I find that it's almost comforting, like, oh, thank God we've made it here. I can you kind of
Relax.
relax a little bit into it, and it just is it's very. I never struggle with the sex scenes. It's like it's comforting. That sounds really weird, but it's like you know what you're doing. You
Hmm.
know, and they're
Absolutely.
usually softer and
Yeah, when you get the breathing pattern and all that going in, I so pay attention to my breathing and how that's working. Those scenes, because we've done them so many times, you can kind of fall into it. What book the three-way that you're working on?
yeah.
Is there anything else you've got in the next 2 weeks in the pipeline?
Yeah, so I'm doing I did a book called Sky Thane a couple months ago, and I'm working on the follow-up to that, and so this is the second book of three. Um and that's written by J. Scott Coatsworth. And Scott has a really wonderful like it's sci-fi, so there's a lot of world building vocab. And I've started to use is it called, oh God, Positron as a
Hmm.
proofing tool. And man, it's really helpful for books like it's called Lander. It really helps with prepping the manuscript, which is great. So I'm doing that, and then I'm starting a new series with Lisa Oliver and JP Sale. I did the Tango Tentacle series, and so now we're doing um, the spin-off series of that, and that starts with a book called Marvin, so that's coming up. And so I've just got stuff in the pipeline. Then I got some more Lisa books. And um, I think right now, for me right now, it's kind of a dry spot. I have to really reach out to different authors, and um,
Dude,
everything.
you're
It's a little slow right now.
you're killing it though. I'm looking on Audible listed under Kevin Earlywine. You have 43 books showing,
Yeah.
and you've not been at this that long. You're rocking
No.
it right now.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Yeah, I'm excited. This book with Amanda has been really fun, and it's hard sometimes to find a book where you feel like you really are that character and you're that voice. And this is
Hmm.
one of those lightning in a bottle books where I feel like I could voice this character. So
Isn't that awesome? I remember hitting
yeah,
that the first time. And I got lucky early on in my career, and I'm just about to work on another one, Bubba the Monster Hunter. Um, and it's an over the top hilarious character. It's not romance. It's um, what do you call it? It's urban fantasy would be I guess the
yeah.
easiest. It's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Larry the Cable Guy. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's you.
Then yeah, exactly. Well, because it talks like this, which is kind of how some of my family sounds, because I'm a fucking redneck and I'm from the Appalachian Mountains where we all sound like this. So I'm Bubba the Monster Hunter. I'm a big goddamn redneck, and I'm going to come and kick your fucking ass. All right? That's Bubba the Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Like I got lucky and just fell right into that. And I listened recently. I went back and listened to the sample of the first one I did, and it was fucking horrible. I can't believe I got the gig. But anyways, we're coming along. But when you get that, it's like this is
Yeah.
totally not work. I will happily narrate Bubba for 6 to 8 hours a day, every day for the rest of my life, and it's just being me.
Yeah. So is that what you're working on next, John?
Yeah, I was supposed to work on it today until I fucked up the entire booth. So I guess it's probably going to be tomorrow.
What did you do to the booth? I'm curious.
It started. It started real easy. One of my buddies let me borrow his DBX compressor. It's a 266. It's a classic compressor. I love it to death. And I haven't run with any hardware compressor in the vocal booth before, and I was pretty excited to try it out. I tried it out, and I loved it so much, I was like, fuck it, we're going to be rolling with this from now on. But then the volume going to vMix, my streaming software, was different than the volume going to Reaper, and I didn't quite understand it. And I tracked down the problem. There was a difference between the feed from one of my audio interfaces to another of my audio interfaces. And at this point, this was like 2 hours later, and I was getting flustered. And I was like, what the fuck? This shouldn't be this hard. I'm going to simplify everything. That's what I'm going to... And then there's cables flying out of the booth, and there's sweats happening, and Jody's like, are you all right? And she didn't really say any of that. But the fact is, this is what you come to. That's how it... But it sounds great now. And I've also got a live compressor on my voice currently. So even if I shout really loud, it doesn't get that fucking loud. It's amazing. Or if I want to get intimate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And it has an expander on it too, so it's tits.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's what I did. But anyways, dude, a couple things. One, I'm sorry I canceled on you the first time. Two, you're a fantastic guest. And three, I'm glad you're starting to feel better. Those are all great
Thank
things. You. Yeah. And of course, you're welcome to come back anytime. And I'm assuming you're probably going to come back over the summer at some point. I'm sure Tracy will reach out to you.
Yeah.
But we've made it without fucking anything up. So I think. If I do this,
Good.
if we wave to the camera and we say bye and I hit this end show button and it fucking works, dude, we're golden. I got everything fixed. So everybody, I know I missed some questions too. If you can go back through the comments, I'd really appreciate it. Enjoy yourselves, everybody. I will be back in Discord tomorrow and, of course, Thursday. Hey, we've got a later Rambling on Thursday because Melissa has some stuff going on. So I think we're going to do like 5 o'clock, somewhere in that range on Thursday. But I will see you all tomorrow at 9:30 in Discord. Have fun. Peace out. Love you to death. Wave at the camera. We are... Ta-da!